Hey guys, and welcome to a tournament showdown between the mighty Capt Tellus, a finalist in the recent DBD qualifiers, up against Valkanos, a true champ of the people, representing RTK, and is a fantastic YouTuber himself. And this is from the Warhammer World Championship Tournament, and yes, I am going to be casting all sorts of games from it. Both my own games, because I am participating. I've played a couple already, but waiting to get a few before I start getting those ball rolling. But also some highlight games, and this is a disgustingly close game. Spoiler alert. So let's hop in here and have a little look at the Tomb King's forces, which shall be led by Capt Tellus. And in the front line, we have cheap and cheerful skeleton spearmen dotted all the way along. These guys simply here to hold the line and push the enemy back and allow the rest of the build to actually pack a punch and deal the damage. And in classic Capt Tellus style, we do have a nice artillery contingent to his build. We have a Casket of Souls, very good at destroying Norscan infantry, as well as Double Bone Giant. Now, Double Bone Giant is pretty scary. It can snipe at enemy characters, skin wolves, manticores, all that good stuff, and they're going to be protected by double Tomb Guard with halberds. Just in front of them, we have the Kepid Guard, the regiment of renowned Tomb Guard who can blitz their way through Berserkers and cheap Marauder infantry. And leading this force here, we do have Cetra the Imperishable on top of his glorious mystical chariot. He just looks so regal even in undead form. Coming in with the Wrath of Petra, we have the Incantation of Protection, as well as the Incantation of Cursed Blades and all the standard stuff. So a nice, well-balanced build, certainly making the enemy take the initiative and have to come to him with so many artillery pieces. Up in the sky, we have Double Karen. I believe Capt Tellus actually took this build rather successfully in the recent tournament I did host. Now, for Valkanos here in the front lines, we have tons of Marauders dotted all the way along. Cheap, cheerful, very happy to be here. They're probably drunk up on rage and battle fury, going to be clattering into those skeletons, but no blood for them today, no blood for the Blood God, dust for the Dust Gods instead. We have Marauder Berserkers as well in the secondary battle line. These guys will certainly chew through the front line of the Skeleton Spearmen, but also do decent up against Tomb Guard as well. We have a couple of units of Skin Wolves, it looks like 2 to be exact, very powerful regenerating werewolves. We also have some Hunters, looks like 2. Going to be nice, pretty key actually, to taking down those gigantic giants. Double Famir Belfiend of fire, one coming in a burning head, the other with Fireball. Up in the skies we have double Feral Manticore, and down on the ground we have the mighty Wulfric the Wanderer, who has been relegated to horseback at least for today. No giant mammoth for him, which is a rather wise choice. He's still a very good duelist, and if he helps a Hunter of Champions on someone like Cetra, he can slow them down and catch and slaughter them, but he's not such a big target for you Shopty Great Bows, which are often picked here, which sometimes can be a little bit of a mistake, as they are relatively easy to dodge with these kind of smaller characters. Karen up in the skies get a little bit too close for comfort up against their larger flying brethren, the flying Manticore, and decide to fall back as quickly as possible. They will crumble a little bit, but they'll be absolutely fine. More Karen as well have emerged, but in comes the initial bombardment, targeting down those Marauders, and they are not going to be happy bunnies whatsoever. You can raise your little petty wooden shields all you want, but when mystical hellfire is raining down upon you, you're certainly going to feel it here. Skinwolves are pushing up, and it looks like the entire build is just trying to race forward as quickly as possible. Bone Giants are focusing down the Famir Belfiend. Now, I like the switch up of having 2 wizards, simply so the enemy, who Tomb King's very good at assassinating characters from long range, can indeed, you have to take down 2, you still get some value, even if they focus down 1. It looks like the Bone Giants are actually going after 1 each. Cetra is going for a bit of a Leroy Jenkins approach straight into the middle, which is risky. If Wulfric has Hunter of Champions, which he does indeed, he'd slow down Cetra here and cause big problems, but it looks like he's not going to do it. Skin Wolves were near as well, so a nice little cheeky escape by Cetra, got some free value, and a mighty 1 kill. The Famir Belfiend is taking some huge damage here. It looks like we do have an incantation going down of the Cursed Blades, and he's going straight for that Famir Belfiend, going for that assassination attempt straight out of the gate. Skin Wolves are hot on the approach, however, and the Hunter Champions needs to come down here. Incantation of Protection is now active, and it looks like he should be able to pull back just about in time, and a very nice play, pulling them through his own Skeleton Spearmen, who should block in the Skin Wolves. I just say that, the Skin Wolves just bound straight through on their never-ending hunt for Cetra, but they have been stopped now. The attack order needs to continue going if they are going to break through, but it looks like Micro is going on elsewhere, as the mighty Sea Fang does come down the line. It may have been nerfed, but it'll still destroy Skeleton Spearmen with deadly efficiency. Both Famir Belfiends have taken a bit of damage, but I'd rather see the focus fire of 1 unit from a Bone Giant to force it off the field as quickly as possible. And in the front lines, the Marauders will be able to chew through the enemy rather quickly here. So it looks like we still have nice long-range firepower coming in from the Casket of Souls here, although it does get hit by a burning head. Sorry, turning my phone onto mute there. And the Cetra is going to be falling back as well. Skin Wolves applying pressure where possible, but the Kepid Guard are here, and they're certainly about to chew through Marauders. Looks like they're going to be hit up as well by Incantation of Cursed Blades, so they should be able to chew through the enemy. And once again, the Climactic Souls still rain fire down upon the Marauders, and it looks like one of the Familiar Belfiends has now been dealt with. These Hunters need to get a little bit closer. Looks like there was some harassment in the back line from the Carrion, but the Ferromanticals have dealt with them, so this one in the distance as well needs to get its booty over here and start applying pressure to the back lines. Marauder Berserkers are going to be doing just that with a Norscan war chant ripped from their lips. They're going to charge into glorious hand-to-hand up against the Tomb Guard with halberds, and they'll do a decent job pulling them apart bone by bone. But this big scary giant will be able to fire it for a considerably long time. Tomb Guard will not be breaking it very quickly. Looks like Wulfric did consider going after the Casket of Souls before switching his attention to Cetra, coming down with a Hunter of Champions, which I certainly would have liked to see early on. I mean, Cetra's still relatively fast. A Chariot is still a mighty beast indeed, and he plunges straight into the heart of his own Tomb Guard for a nice little bit of protection. Although looks like the Casket of Souls is going to get shut down. Really good pressure coming in from all angles from Norsca. Well, obviously led by Valkanos here. Marauders will be getting into the back line. Skinnels as well, darting, beelining for that Casket of Souls, but it looks like we're going to see the Ushopsi summon coming down to help protect him, and this could be really, really clutch. If this Casket of Souls is allowed to escape, it can still wreak a lot of damage. It has about half its ammunition left, and in come the Ushopsi. The Skinwolves are in big trouble at this point. Bone Giants as well, firing in point-blank range down onto the Belfiends, trying to get them off field as quickly as possible, and it looks like the other one did indeed bite the dust, so only one left, and that Ferromanticore is now finally flying over back into the main battle. Seafang goes down doing some horrendous damage to the Tomb Guard, really helping rip through them. Marauder Berserkers as well doing a decent job, but Cetra is very much full health, coming for a nice charge on those Skinwolves who did pop on top of the Bone Giant. Incantation of Protection should keep it firing a little while longer, and it looks like this Bone Giant over here has engaged in melee combat with the Berserkers, something I'm sure they weren't expecting when they woke up this morning, and that should allow the Tomb Guard to hail victorious. Although Marauder Hunters, now that the flying threat of the Carrion has been dealt with, are simply pushing in and going to be doing some huge damage to both these Tomb Guard and Bone Giant. The Kepler Guard are going to be switching their targets from these Marauders and hopping on top of the Hunters. How the tables have turned, the Hunters are hunted, and the Kepler Guard will chew through them with deadly efficiency. Manticore might want to come down and say hello. It looks like Wulfric Ranger still chasing Cetra wherever he goes. Bone Giants though doing some lovely damage, and one big drawback of Norsca in general is they have no healing, so all the damage you do to Wulfric, it will certainly add up. Both the Bone Giants focus firing him down, doing horrendous damage. He's not having a good day whatsoever. Cetra though isn't too fond of this either, being chased around by a Feral Manticore, just darting through the enemy infantry where possible, but Wulfric is on the hunt. He's wandering over to the side looking to pin him in place, but Cetra gonna laugh, cackle and simply run away for now, darting over the Marauder Hunters, trying to get them off the field as quickly as possible. If both Hunters go, it'll be a good day for these Bone Giants. Playing lovely fireball from the returning Familiar Belfiend, goes down on the Tomb Guard, and a lot of people don't know that burning fireball, can do a ton of damage to infantry if you get raking down the line, for example on these Hunters right now as they're lined up 2 by 2. Bone Giant taking some huge damage, but he's just going to ignore it and fire some long-range Kobe's all the way down range onto Wulfric, but looks like that one was a bit of a miss. And Cetra is now hunted down the Feral Manticore, but while he's been hit with Hunter Champions, that Manticore does a huge burst damage on top of Cetra. He's really struggling now, but it looks like Hunter Champions has worn off, and the Bone Giant is trying to do some Overwatch fire support. This is such a crazy close game at this point. Wulfric is going to be dancing over here as well. Double Feral Manticore now going to be hunting down Cetra. He's in a sticky situation. He needs to pull out of here as quickly as possible. And it looks like Capitellus has managed to find the correct move, which is just to pull him through himself for his own troops. One of the Feral Manticores to jump in a big animation, which opened up a little pocket of safety for Cetra to fall back into. He's now going to be running over Marauders in the back line, having a whale of a time. Skinwolves have started to surround this last Bone Giant, but they themselves are incredibly beat up. Normally, you'd like to leave them out of combat a little while longer so they do regenerate their health, but it's a desperate times call for desperate actions. Skinwolves need to surround this Bone Giant, and it looks like they're doing a fantastic job. He has been started to crumble out at this point. And this last Feral Manticore has indeed rampaged, although it's still hunting Cetra. So when a unit rampages, it will still attack the unit that you last gave an attack order to, at least if it had one already. Kepler Guard not really wanting to face the Feral Manticore, to be honest. They're more anti-infantry damage dealers, but in its current weakened state, it's not a bad idea at all. Somehow Wulfric is alive. He's been ducking, diving, dodging. The 5 Ds of dodgeball, he has mastered them all, and they're dodging these Bone Giants. But in comes Cetra, proving once and for all who is the true lord of the realms of mankind. And Wulfric, though, going to pop fight or die, survive a little while longer. And he, honestly, at this point, just don't engage in combat, just save up Hunter of Champions, waste the Bone Giant ammunition by juking back and forth, and then drop that Hunter on Cetra. Don't even engage yourself, use the Feral Manticores to then sort out the enemy lord. But will he have an army left by that point? and the Bone Giant comes in. Looks like gets some nice splash damage onto Wulfric, and then comes the Ferromanticore trying to hunt down Cetra. Wulfric not having a good time at all. Those Bone Giants being more and more accurate as the game has gone on, and he is struggling at this point. Still 12 leadership though, so maybe he will come back, or at least stabilize a little bit. And he does come in and pop 100 champions, allowing the Ferromanticore to come in, and that should be the end of Cetra. But it looks like it's the end of Wulfric, as he is now running for the hills. Maybe he'll rally, but his familiar Belfiend friend has decided to give up the fight for good. Both Ferromanticores hunting down Cetra. They looks like they actually push him along a little bit with one of the animations. 100 champions is still active, making him incredibly squishy, but it has just faded off. He only has 500 health, so one or two good slaps from those Manticores will finish him for good. Skinwolves might even want to hop on top of him to ensure that the die is cast, and he is slaughtered for good. Ferromanticore now hunting down the Bone Giant. It looks like they've gone 1-on-1 though. Certainly wants to isolate this one Giant, finish him off, and then pop onto the secondary one. A few Javelins are coming down range now onto Cetra. 260 health. He is going to be starting to crumble very, very soon. Comes in to do a last tiny bit of damage onto the Ferromanticore, but that is going to be the end of the line for Cetra. He doesn't perish, he doesn't bow to no one, but unfortunately he does indeed die. Bone Giant is going down here, good focus fire. You certainly want to just whip off the one Bone Giant before targeting the other, although it looks like this Ferromanticore has decided to give up and go off the other Bone Giant. It's a disaster. The other troops applying pressure on this side have been terrified. That will allow this Bone Giant to use its last little bit of ammunition onto the Manticore, which could be some huge burst damage, although it stops for some reason. Fire, dude, fire. Looks like he's lined up the shot once more, and he's cancelled it once more. But he's coming in and slapping up the Ferromanticore. Definitely wanted to finish off this one Giant, allow the Skinwolves to rally, and then come back and hit the second one. Otherwise, you get in a situation like this, where the Ferromanticore is now one-on-one with the gigantic construct. Certainly not where he wants to be whatsoever. Bone Giant should be able to force off the Ferromanticore at this point, who is now routing and running for the hills. Skinwolves going to be darting in unless other Bone Giant. Well, this one still somehow survives. 300 health remaining, and still has that one shot. What is he going to aim it on? It looks like he's going to be going down range at the Skinwolves, which would be a really good idea. Down to just 200 health. 200 health, 100 health, but still does get off that last shot, doing massive burst damage here to the Skinwolves, and in fact breaking at those Hunter with Javelins. That was an incredibly clutch play, although it looks like the Bone Giant will be crumbling. But, you know, a good little farewell for him, doing some good damage. Wulfric the Wanderer has returned to the battlefield. He should be able to grab these Skinwolves and regenerate as much health as possible. Slow roll at this point. Any unit you rally, like some basic Marauders or these Javelins without ammunition, send them in. Just send one unit in and juke back and forth with the Skinwolves for a little while. Waste that last shot from this Bone Giant and get that as much health regen as you possibly can. This is a tournament game, so of course both these guys are going absolutely all out, but the other shot does come in, slaying one more of the poor little werewolves. You see blood just leaking out of him on the side there. Skinwolves on the left-hand side still continue to juke, but there's no need because there's no ammunition left, and slowly their health is ticking up and regenerating. So I would just send in the one Javelin at this point, leave everything else miles away resting, and then send in the beat-up Marauders, and then you kind of go in and commit with the Skinwolves. But it looks like Douglas wants to fight with all his infantry in one go, which is also another viable tactic, trying to surround the enemy and break their leadership that way rather than fighting them to the death, which, considering the numbers on the Skinwolves, may be the best idea. Looks like the Kepler Guard are getting flung to and fro as they desperately make a last stand around their Bone Giant. But this is scary stuff. Skinwolves are snapping the necks, ripping the bones from these elite warriors. But it looks like the forces of the Norscans have indeed broken, so with a few loyal bodyguards left, the Bone Giant does clutch victory. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. That was some insane stuff. Very well played to Cap Tellus as well as the mighty Valkanos. Once again, guys, this is from the Warhammer World Championship, the largest ever tournament held. There is thousands of games going on. It's pretty wild and insane. It's really good fun. I'm in a group myself. I will be casting my games from that group rather shortly once we get through them, so expect to see those a little bit more next week. Very well played to these two champs. Before we do go through the unit damage values and so forth. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content. Both of those things help out a huge amount as it helps push the channel to more and more people. And if you do want to see your replays up on the channel or get involved in tournaments I host, just chill out with a load of cool guys, feel free to join my Discord. There's a link down below in the description, as well as a link to my Patreon if you want to support the channel in that way. You can also become a YouTube member and all that kind of good stuff. But anyway, back to the awesome stuff, which is the Warhammer, of course. The Mighty Wolfric the Wanderer did relatively well, 11,000 damage dealt, 1,800 damage values, pretty impressive, especially on his horse. But his main thing here really was the 100 champions, allowing those manticores to deal huge damage to Cetra. For my Belfiends, one of them suffered quite badly, and they did get sniped out rather effectively early on, so not too much damage from both of them, although there was one really nice fireball at one point from this Belfiend. Rolls did what you expect, cleared out the chaff, but not the greatest damage value, because of course skeleton spearmen aren't worth too much at the end of the day. Berserkers as well, suffering a little bit here. They didn't have the best targets, and of course they can get through the chaff very quickly, but then they have to take on the larger bone giants, where they did indeed suffer. However, the javelins did fantastic. 750 damage value on one, with 5k damage dealt, but the other one, real MVPs here, up alongside those manticores, 1,500 damage value, nearly 10k damage dealt. Very impressive, allowing them to drag down those bone giants one by one. But these feral manticores, such an underrated unit. People always love the summons, but forget that you can bring them as well. Only 23 and 13 kills, which doesn't seem too crazy, but they both gain chevrons, 1,300 damage value on this one, and 1,800 on the next one. And they're very cheap as far as feral creatures do go. Skin wolves, of course, are fantastic. One got dealt with rather effectively by Captellus, but the other one, 1,175 damage value. Now my one, Valknos is a fantastic player. Really good Norscan player as well. Fantastic YouTuber as well. You should definitely go check him out. But the one mistake I think he made, which may have cost him this game, was early on. Definitely should have hunted champion Cetra. He had Skinwolves nearby for support. He had the Javelins nearby support. He had Wolfric there for support, who can duel Cetra effectively one-on-one. Cetra was horribly out of position. Hunter champions him, drag him down, and at least going to get a massive amount of burst damage on him, even if you don't kill him. But at the same time, maybe Cetra on his chat would have been just about fast enough to escape. Who knows? But for Captellus, Cetra did amazing. 137 kills, 15,000 damage dealt, 2,310 damage value. He may have fallen before Wolfric, but he certainly managed to outshine him in the end. All the Spearmen, they were simply here to die and hold the line, and that's exactly what they did. Tomb Guard as well fulfilled a similar role here. Kepler Guard, an absolute lawnmower up against Norsca. I'd always recommend bringing them in this matchup. 22,000 damage dealt, 2,482 damage value, 229 kills. They just slaughtered the Norscan infantry, and without these guys as well to support the bone giants at the end, he certainly could have fallen. Karen, unfortunately, obviously they're here to bring down the hunted javelins, but one thing he probably didn't expect was the double feral manticore, which managed to deal with them up in the skies pretty well. The Casket of Souls, fantastic damage as always up against Norsca, 11,000 damage dealt, 1,000 damage value, and the double bone giants doing pretty meaty stuff themselves, 2.4k damage value, 1.3 here. Nearly 7,000 damage dealt, and 9,500 damage dealt on this unit. That is some very scary stuff. And guys, hope you're excited for the World Championships as much as I am. I'm looking very forward to just casting and kind of exploring and showing you as many games as I can go. So some of the background noises today, I'm going to drop my phone throughout and had a message and so forth. I'll try and remember to keep that on mute for next time. But anyway guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.